Bengal tiger. Parker jumps into the ocean. Pai, sitting in his homemade life raft, was shocked. Parker swam for a long time without catching a fish. Pai laughed at Parker's stupidity. Instead of catching a fish, Parker swam towards Pai's life raft. Pai pulls the rope and jumps into the lifeboat. Pai pulled the life raft up before Parker could get to it. Parker was trapped in the ocean. Pai found an axe in the lifeboat. Pai swung the axe and tried to kill Parker. With Parker's bleeding eyes, Pai couldn't do it. At night, Pai threw a plank into the sea. He jumped into the lifeboat. Parker climbed into the lifeboat on the plank that Pai had thrown. Pai had learned the art of fishing from the survival manual. A beautiful fish swam into the net that Pai had thrown. Pai pulled the net up. The fish was struggling to get a grip. Pai took an axe and kept hitting the fish on the head. The fish lost its beautiful color. Pai cried when he saw the fish he had killed, because it was the first time he had ever killed anything. Pai began to pray for forgiveness of his sins. Pai threw the fish into the lifeboat. The sea was beautiful at night. The boat was surrounded by blue jellyfish. Pai was mesmerized by the sight and tried to catch a jellyfish with his hand. A whale came out of the water. The sea is created by the whale and the waves are huge. Pai and the food on the raft fell into the water. The whale swam around the boat and left. Pai used his dagger to mark the boat. Pai quietly climbed into the lifeboat. Pai stepped out of the cabin. A flying fish hit Pai in the face. The fish flew away as Pai threw it to Parker. A huge school of flying fish came out of the sea. Parker opens his mouth wide to eat the flying fish. Pai stood on the bow of the boat and covered his head. A tuna jumped into the lifeboat after the flying fish. Parker knocks the tuna back into the boat. Pai tried to subdue Parker with a wind stick. Kai's roar caused Parker to take a few steps back. Pai took the opportunity to grab the tuna. Pike had to eat the flying fish in the cabin. This was the party's first victory for Pike. With no other food left to eat, Pai went for the tuna. Pai tried to tame Puck with a wooden stick. Puck stayed in the back of the boat with a stick. Pai rewarded Puck with tuna. After repeated attempts, Pai drove Parker back to the cabin. Pai and Parker drifted for several more days. Today, Pai saw a yacht in the distance. Pai fired a flare into the sky. The yacht didn't see Pai's signal and left. Pai lay on the bow of the boat and talked to Parker. Parker stared at the distant night sky and listened to Pai's words. Parker remembered his neighbors at the zoo. Pai remembered her mother's smile. That day they were caught in a storm. Pai and Parker hid in the cabin. After the storm, the sea was calm again. Parker was dying. Pai poured fresh water into Parker's mouth. Pai put Parker's head in his lap. With tears in his eyes, Pai prayed for his only companion, Parker. The lifeboat drifted to an island. Pai found food on the island. The island was inhabited by meerkats. Pai swam happily in the water. Puck was finally able to eat. In the evening, Pai saw all the meerkats flee into the trees. A lot of fish had been corrupted by the island's acidic water. Parker had already taken refuge in the lifeboat. A human tooth wrapped in a beautiful flower. Pai realized that this was not a good place to live for long. The next day, Pai prepared enough food. Pai called out to Parker. Hearing the call, Parker jumped into the lifeboat. They left the island. After 227 days of drifting, the boat finally reached land. Pai was lying on the beach with no strength left. Parker was as thin as a bone. As he walked into the forest, Pai wished he could say goodbye. Pai was rescued by a passing fisherman.